most boxers come into the ring as favorites, sometimes even 10-1, and they get beaten by the underdog.
The knockout zone.
People wonder why and how this happens, because, generally most boxers are good, but the problem is they only focus on themselves rather than getting time to study their opponents in order to understand how they fight, and not only to understand how they fight, but also to know how to penetrate their style. This is illustrated clearly on an interview that was done by David Frost on Muhammad Ali when he was due to fight Big George Foreman. He went on to explain how he sees George Foreman fighting, and not only that, but also how he was going to overcome that style of George Foreman.
Him in the ring, he drags like that after his opponent. And how's a mummy gonna catch me? When you're fighting a mummy, you just keep a step ahead of the mummy. See? Yeah, just move on the mummy. No, mummy, I'm over here. No, mummy, I'm over here. Yeah, no, you're moving too fast. The mummy don't move that fast.
You can realize that he first gave us how he sees George Foreman fights. And then he didn't end up there, but he also gave us the idea as to how he was going to counteract George Foreman's style. What I want to highlight also here is that George Foreman had annihilated great fighters who had given Muhammad Ali a very tough time, a very difficult time in his fights with them, and those being Joe Frazier and Kenny Norton. As we know that he fought Joe Frazier 3 times, and all of those fights were grueling fights. They were tough fights. Also, he fought Kenny Norton, and he fought him 2 times, and those fights were difficult fights. And there came Big George Foreman. On the other hand, he came and just annihilated these 2 big fighters, less than 5 rounds each. Therefore, this to an onlooker gave an indication that Big George will do the same thing with Muhammad Ali. But to the shock and amazement of the crowds and the boxing fans worldwide, Muhammad Ali, having studied George Foreman, he was able to stop him in the 8th round. So this serves as a notice to the boxers that you need to study the style of your opponent before you can get into the ring with them. Let us look at Anthony Joshua. He's a great champion, and he's a good fighter. He has a good jab, and he has a big punch. But when he came to New York to fight Ruiz, he came as a favorite to most of the people, most of the boxing fans out there. He came as a favorite. And Ruiz was an underdog, really. And the people expected Anthony Joshua to display his boxing skills, and some even expected him to knock out Ruiz. But the fans were shocked to see Anthony Joshua going down within 5 rounds. The reason for this is because Anthony Joshua did not study the opponent that he was going to face. And remember, Ruiz had come as a substitute. So even if he had wanted to study him, probably he took it for granted, that he was going to defeat him. But nonetheless, even if that's not the case, but you could see that Anthony Joshua didn't study Ruiz. That is why he was shocked in the ring when he was knocked down. So the boxing style of Ruiz came handy for him in order to take the title away from Anthony Joshua. If I can explain how Ruiz fought Anthony Joshua, I would say, Ruiz is a big counterpuncher. So Anthony Joshua did not expect that he would be such a great counterpuncher, because Ruiz is also a wise fighter himself. As you can see on this clip, how Anthony Joshua was surprised by Ruiz, how he counterpunched him and how he knocked him out. I also want to focus on how Muhammad Ali knocked out George Foreman, and you will see the similarities in there. One important aspect about Anthony Joshua was he stood toe to toe with someone who is a dangerous counterpuncher, and that cost him the fight. And likewise, Big George Foreman, he came rolling his big punches on Muhammad Ali, only to find that he tired himself up. Muhammad Ali took advantage of that, and in the 8th round, he was able to knock out Big George. But one other important factor on this knockout was that Big George was already very tired when he went down. That is why I'm saying it's important to study your opponent's style of boxing. Big George Foreman, you could tell he hadn't studied Muhammad Ali. He had no strategy to defeat Muhammad Ali. All he knew was he was a good fighter, a hard puncher. Therefore, he would just take him out with his big punches. But that didn't work because Muhammad Ali had done his homework thoroughly, and he was able to defeat Big George, as you can see on the clip.
Foreman looking to deliver the real heavy blows. Now he's bouncing better. Almost pulls out of the ring. Very even fight. Ali, a sneaky right hand. Another sneaky right hand. This time he works.
So in a nutshell, we can say that it is very important to study your opponent's style of boxing, because even if you are such a great fighter, but you can always encounter a problem when meeting someone you don't know how they fight. So it's important to understand the style of your opponent, as well as to understand how you will counteract that kind of style, because you can come in as a favorite only to find that the underdog beats you. So no matter how great you are, it is still important to know the kind of boxer that you will be getting into the ring with. What I'm saying is it's important to uncover your opponent's weaknesses and exploit them, and work on the strategy to defeat the opponent. All right, folks, that's it for today, and see me next time on my next video, where I will be showing you the importance of speed in the boxing ring.